What's your favorite question to ask someone to get to know them better? What is something you're proud of but don't get to brag about much? Edit, spelling. What are you really terrible at? Someone I know took a psych test for a work application and one of the questions was, do you look at your poo before you flush? He asked us around the office and it was funny how divided we were and how passionate we all were about our reasoning. I often think about that. What's your mother's maiden name, the name of your first pet, the name of the first street you lived in, IP address, social security number and your criminal record? I asked my students today what is their biggest fear. They each wrote their answer on a post-it note anonymously and didn't see other answers until they were all on the board. It was hilarious how many of them answered my mom. Edit, since everyone is so concerned, these are a bunch of high schoolers trying to be funny. Also, as a teacher I am trained to recognize signs of abuse. I assure you these kids are fine. I'd borrow from David Sedaris and go with when's the last time you saw a monkey? I went to a music outing with this girl I recently started seeing and her friend was ditched, so we said that he could join us. When trying to get to know each other better, he asked me what my favorite breakfast food was. We had a solid 15-minute conversation about French toast and different toppings and how an egg should be prepared depending on how you had spent your previous evening. Great icebreaker. What's the most obscure fact you know that would make you win on Jeopardy? My 29-year-old special needs daughter has a list she likes to use. What is your favorite reptile? What is your favorite fighter jet? What is your favorite bird of prey? What is your favorite dinosaur? What is your favorite venomous snake? The thing is though, she doesn't actually care about your answers. She just wants you to ask her her favorites so she can trap you in a one-sided conversation for the rest of your natural life. People fall for it every time. Oh, and in case you are wondering, the correct answers are crocodile, F-14 tomcat, wedge-tailed eagle, Spinosaurus, black mamba. Giving her the correct answers won't get you out of the conversation, but it will save you the lecture on how wrong you are. What's the best thing that happened to you today? I used to. 1. What is your everyday superpower, i.e. my so always gets amazing parking, always picking the fastest line at the supermarket? 2. What's in the trunk of your car right now? This leads to hilarious answers in my experience. Pets are a good one. If they don't have any pets, ask them what pet they would want, or any childhood/old pets. It's personal, but not too personal. Also, people love talking about their pets. Their 3 wishes. Their views on entertainment is always safe territory, movies, music, etc. If I gave you the money to set up a theme restaurant or bar, what would be the theme? What would you call the establishment? What would be the signature cocktail? Have you read any good books recently? Oddly, this makes people really excited about a book they are reading or sad that they haven't read one lately. I had an employee who was an oddball of the first order, just coasting along enjoying what I can only describe as a superlatively charmed existence. For instance, he was in his mid-20s, living in NYC, and had somehow avoided ever paying a nickel in rent. Like not once in his life. I personally witnessed him not only refuse to pay his landlord for 6 months, but also walk away with $3,000 compensation when the matter went to court. From there he ended up in a free pad provided by a real estate broker who hired him on the spot while he was looking for an apartment. Seriously, I've never seen anyone so consistently fall ass first into a basket of rose petals as this dude. But that's about the time I lost contact with him because he went full-time into real estate brokerage. Which was just as well because he wasn't really a very good employee. He wasn't dangerously incompetent or anything, just kind of slow and lacking any sense of hustle. I kept him on just because he was so entertaining and had this ability to keep everyone else's morale up. We called him the jam burner because he would fixate on certain bands, and play these really badass tunes, but play them so frequently that everyone would be completely burned out by the time his focus shifted. Anyway, he would go around asking these asinine questions of everyone, as though he was conducting a Heather's poll. What's your favorite animal? What's your second favorite animal? What's your favorite body of water? How would you describe it? Would you rather have a yacht or a sport car? Would you rather have an asshole on your elbow, or an elbow on your asshole? He had graduated college with a psychology degree, so I was aware that he was just probing us all. But I like to think I actually learned a lot about myself from his inquiries. I often think about him warmly. I hope you're doing well, Will, you mystifying, jam-burning leech. What are your most visited subreddits? Their answer could easily end a relationship before it even begins. I usually go for open-ended questions. My favorite is what's the coolest place you've taken that pair of shoes? If you could only eat one type of cheese for the rest of your life, which type of cheese would it be? What's your favorite part about waking up? How did you got into insert any passions/hobbies? What are you sure you know more about than me? This one checks tons of boxes like, starting a topic, getting more insight to their interests, having them talk about a topic they are passionate about, you learning a ton of stuff, and much more. Just pretty dumb when they say I don't lol. If you'd want me to know only one fact about you, what would it be? It's started a lot of interesting convos over the years. Tell me something I don't know. Not a question, but the topic they go for can say a lot about them. Do they tell you about themselves, someone else, or something else? Then you can ask why/how they know that, or if they're particularly interested in the topic of whatever they've told you about. It's a great conversation starter, no matter if you've just met or known them forever. And if you do already know what they've told you, you can talk about your shared knowledge/interest. What is one thing you wish people knew about you? It often leads to sincere responses or something they are passionate about. I like to ask people if they have any really good ghost stories. Depending on their religion or culture or upbringing, I've heard some pretty awesome experiences, particularly from NYC cab drivers. What's your walk-up song? What's your death row meal? All you need to know right there. What do you like chicken nuggets with or without crust? Depends on the purpose of getting to know them. If I want to know them well on a personal level. Honestly though, I often just pay a lot of attention to how they interact with me. Would you rather drink Pepsi or Coca-Cola? If they say Pepsi, I make a mental note to stay the duck away from this lunatic. As weak as it sounds, what are the 3 things you most like to get asked about is great in a pinch, because you can either delve into them, or why they're such a favorite. Also lets the other person set the tone of the convo, whether light and surface, or deep and personal, or anywhere in between. I like to ask what people's favorite food is. Even as a complete non sequitur, it's a good conversation starter. Everyone has a favorite food, it's innocent but very personal, and there's usually a story or insight into their background/culture behind it. Removed. Did you see that story about insert crazy non-political current event here? For example, did you see that crazy story about that guy getting swallowed by a whale and living? Exclamation mark. Asking what's your favorite question to ask someone to get to know them better? What do you dream about? Favorite childhood memory? If you had to murder someone, who would it be and where would you hide the body? Do you sleep with socks on, and if yes, how many people have you murdered? A/S/L? Maybe not first chat, maybe not a colleague, but here it goes. Would you rather fornicate with the goat and no one know about, or not fornicate with the goat and the world is convinced that you did? Gets right to the core. I'm a therapist. In my first session with patients, my first question, after I go over paperwork with them, is where would you like to start? I always get excited when I ask that, because I'm about to be invited into someone else's inner world, and it is so profound and precious. Definitely asking them about their favorite band/music is ATM. Ford family, occupation, recreation, dreams. If you were a guest on a late-night talk show, what story would you tell? Horny? Would you duck me? I'd duck me. Tell me about the pets you have had. Technically not a question, but you will get a wide variety of responses that tell you a lot about them as a person: empathy, possibly fitness. Or they could say owning pets is a crime against nature, and that is really all you need to know about them. What do you like to read? What are your thoughts on pickles, mustard, garlic, onion, and sauerkraut? If they answer in the negative, we can't be friends. I have lenience towards the sauerkraut since not everyone where I live grew up with it like I did. What's your favorite Muppet and why? It establishes that they are old enough to know what Muppets are, that they have a sense of humor, and standard answers like Animal and Statler and Waldorf can be segued into how about Muppets in Dark Crystal/Labyrinth or Sesame Street. This typically gets into favorite childhood things, and sometimes their thoughts on education and diversity etc. Also Cookie Monster and Count Von Count for the win. 2 truths. What's the most useless piece of information you know and how did you learn it? Man, reading all these questions is making me feel like I'd be terrible to hang out with for y'all. All I have for most of these is non-answers, and that doesn't interest me at all. If you could reshoot any film, shot for shot with the cast of the Looney Tunes, which film should you pick? Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment to suggest what video we should do next. Please check some of our other videos out,